My name is Kelsey Lee, and I have been documenting my life 1 month at a time for a few years now. And today I'm going to show you what it looks like when you complete an entire year of monthly journaling. This has been a life-changing practice for me, and I am convinced once you see my entries and how I was able to document so many memories and experience and favorites from my life over this last year, that you are going to be inspired to do the same starting right now. Without further ado, let's open up my journal and take a look at the last year. Here is my monthly journal. I personally choose to monthly journal in a designated notebook that is a Dingbat B5. I have it linked in my Amazon storefront. I already have a few years of journaling in this notebook, and today we are going to be flipping through 2024. And this was actually our first year of launching the monthly journaling club, which is our free community to document your life 1 month at a time. This is available through my Patreon, and we do free live streams here on YouTube once a month. And every year I also put out a freebie for that year. So all of the stickers that you're seeing on this page, for the most part, including these prompts, are from that journal kit, which you can get free access to when you become a free member. So I like to do a few yearly pages just to set up the journal for the new year and basically act as a cover page before launching into my monthly entries. And one other yearly entry that I did for 2024 was a 25 by 2025 list in a few different categories and just checked them off throughout the year. The nice thing about putting yearly collections like this in your monthly journal is that because you are sitting down with this journal once a month to document the month, you already have a built-in system to look back at your yearly spreads and check in with your progress. And now we jump in to our first monthly entry. Here we have January, of course, the start of the year. As you can see, my style for creating monthly entries is just to fill the page entirely with all of my memories and favorites and moments. For me, a full page in this form of journaling reflects a full life, and so I just love seeing everything that happened at a glance and just filling up the entire page. So for January, you will see that every single month, I'm going to put my title in the center, and then I build my page around it. There is definitely a color palette, and that is intentional. I think when you have so many different memories and experiences happening on the page, it's very helpful to bring them all together using a cohesive color palette. And one of the easiest ways to ensure you are sticking to a color palette is to use stickers from a sticker kit. In my case, I'm actually using mostly stickers. I'll point to some of them here on the page that are ones I designed for my patrons over on Patreon. For our first year of the monthly journaling club, I designed a sticker kit of 3 pages for each month, full of stickers that are all about that month, whether it's holidays and experiences that you typically have in that month and season, whether it is activities that people tend to want to do. All of that is reflected in these sticker kits for each month. So you can get access to all of these sticker kits over on my Patreon when you join the Abiding Hope tier and up. And we're also designing new stickers for this coming year, so I hope that you'll consider joining for all of the new content we are adding too. But a little bit about this entry and some of the things that I like to document and thought about for the month of January. We have some obvious ones like our launch party for the monthly journaling club and stats regarding my YouTube channel, which at this time was 36,000. We're now at 45,000. So thank you to all of our new amazing family members here in the community. So, stats and achievements are a great thing to keep track of through your monthly journaling. I also like to think about quotes that are going to relate to that month. So, we have some New Year inspirational quotes on the page. Another great thing to document for the new year is any habits that you are working on forming. Over in this corner, we really have the highlight of the month, which was our mini weekend trip to North Conway in New Hampshire and climbing the Jefferson and Clay Mountains. We also did some ice climbing, so I used my favorite winter sport stickers from this collection. And then this really beautiful snowflake you see here in the middle that has this metallic effect was actually a Christmas card that I got this year and just cut it out and used it on the page. So I definitely encourage you to also think about materials that you can be recycling from your own life. Another great tip from this corner is to put your titles directly on your photos. I do this in my Pic Collage app. That is how I print all of my photos nice and tiny, is I make a collage of photos on a 4x6 or 5x7 photo paper and then print them out and cut them out. But the nice thing about that app is you can also add captions and titles directly on your photo. Almost every single month, I also document the books that I am reading. So I was reading Tuesdays with Morrie and Everything Sad is Untrue, a true story. Really enjoyed both of these. They were both 5-star reads for me, and I highly recommend them. In the deep of winter, I also tried a new skincare routine that is actually by a friend of mine who goes to my church, and she makes this natural skincare that just has completely revolutionized my skin experience. I love it so much. I'll have it linked for you. I talked about it in my fall vlog if you wanted to go back and watch that video to learn more about it. But truly, if you are looking for natural skincare, can't recommend it enough, and it's a great way to support a small business owned by a Christian mom who is just, trying to support her family. Finally, in this corner down here, I just want to show you that it's not always highlights in the sense of good things that are happening, though things like, a baby shower are certainly here too. It's also the difficult moments. One of those things was our parked car getting hit and just totally demolished. So we ended up having to get a new car, as you're going to see in the next month. And we also lost Ben's nanny during this month. So I have a photo that is just documenting her life here and honoring her. So next we have February. Again, you see the color palette that is bringing everything together. You see the focus on some of the snow and winter beauty. I love documenting the seasons in my journaling. I again talk about books that I'm reading. 2 more 5 stars. My reading was really on fire at the start of this year. Screwtape Letters and Demon Copperhead. Highly recommend both of them. And as we talked about in the previous month, we ended up needing a new car. So we have a photo of us getting our new car here. And here I also have the handout that was given at Ben's nanny's funeral. And when it opens, you can see the information on the inside. So this is a nice tip-in element. And what is neat about monthly journaling, and that this reflects, is the fact that you can really see how every month connects to each other, how your life isn't actually really divided by months and these delineations that we form that are essentially arbitrary, but actually it all just is one flowing timeline from start to finish. And you can really see how things that happen in January, like our car getting damaged, led to things that happened in February, and so on and so forth. And so it's a neat way to really look at your life as one big picture. I also love documenting small moments throughout my month. So I have reading together and having nightly tea, some of the winter walks that we went on, new workout routines that I started. So, really think about those small little joys of the everyday as well. And in addition to the small little joys, you can also think about the small little accomplishments. Here, I have a tiny little list of things I got done, like going to the dentist, an eye appointment, getting my hair cut. So, you can also think about the little wins throughout your month too. And then the last thing I want to highlight from February is thinking about the holidays and significant events of that month. So, the Super Bowl here in the US is in some ways a significant holiday. So, I have our time together with friends documented here. But then some small events are Leap Day with a little description of what Leap Day is and Groundhog's Day. And then over on the left side of the page, I actually have this whole cute little description of my dog, Caragini, with a photo of her, and it says what my family calls me, my favorite foods, what I love to do. And this is basically a journaling prompt that I created for my patrons as part of this kit because February 20th is Love Your Pet Day. So you can also think about those weird holidays that, are scattered throughout our entire year and how you might be able to document them in a fun way too. Next, we have March, and this is one of my favorite months of the year, in part because it is my birthday month, and I think it's an obligation that you like your birthday month, but also because it is when the little hints of spring start to arise. And you can see that reflected here on my page with some of the little moments in the garden, like starting to see the crocuses arrive. And I even have a sticker that says First Signs of Spring that is part of this monthly kit. And then we also went looking for salamanders in the vernal pools. Did not unfortunately find any, but we had lots of rain, which is also typically a sign of spring. And this was also the month of celebrating Easter, so we always lead a Holy Saturday hike every Easter season. We hosted Easter and had family and friends over, and just being able to document this incredibly significant part of the Christian calendar and just celebrating our Savior is so important to me, and I love having this whole half of this page dedicated to praising Jesus and being grateful for the fact that he is risen indeed. And then I also have my little delights of the month documented too, like going thrifting, getting my free birthday latte with some photos of things that I got, and having a girls' day out. And you can see here that I used some stamping and colored in the stamps. I really liked that effect. Definitely something I would like to do again. I brought in some washi tape. So just goes to show you that you can also combine lots of different materials when getting creative and creating your entries. And then, of course, I did mention that it was my birthday month, and it was a pretty significant one this year because I turned 30. And then to document my birthday, I thought it would be fun to create a pocket with a selfie in it of me at my current age of 30, especially, 15, 20 years from now. I think this will be so special to look back on, me at 30 years old. And then I also wrote a little note about how I was feeling for this birthday. It wasn't one that I was particularly excited about. I definitely felt, the growing pains of getting older, and I just reflected on that in here. So you can also use your monthly entries as a place for reflection too. And underneath, I have this great quote from Laura Ingalls Wilder. There is no reason why we should not be merry as we grow older. And so that was a very important reminder to myself. Next, we have April, and you can definitely feel spring just taking over the page. I love this beautiful tree in bloom. This is not actually one of my printables, but is a illustration from the Tiny Book of Tiny Pleasures. one of my favorite resources for documenting in my journal. This is what it looks like and has tons of beautiful illustrations by the team over at Flow Magazine. Highly recommended, and it is linked in my Amazon storefront. Keeping with the theme of documenting all the joys of spring, I have this beautiful collage of my garden coming to life and some journaling about that. I also have the first day of trout. My husband loves to fish, so this is always a really significant and fun day that we get together with friends and family. I have my new go-to spring drink order, which is the Starbucks iced oat milk matcha with lavender cold foam. I was obsessed with this drink this last year, and I really hope they bring it back because I am ready for it. We also had a nice day out with friends that I documented here in this corner. We also went to my first worship concert, which was Chris Tomlin, and so I used this sticker to write the top 3 songs, but this idea of doing top 3s, top 5s, favorites for the month is a really good one to keep in mind. The solar eclipse happened in April, and so I have that documented as well. Definitely keep in mind those random special moments that happen throughout a year that kind of take over social media in some ways. These are really those pop culture moments that everybody gets on board with and can be fun to document in your journaling. And I again documented some spring reading Little Men and Joe's Boys and Enchanted April, and also going to my local library book sale. And next we have May, and May is another favorite month for me. It is our anniversary month, and we were celebrating 5 years of marriage. So this entire corner of the page is basically dedicated to our road trip to Canada. We got to bring our dog, which was so much fun. So she is now an international pup who's traveled the world to one other country. And we have a whole photo collage of our travel experience. So definitely when you have a big experience in a month, especially a week away or something like that, I can't recommend enough dedicating a big portion of your entry to that experience. Even do some full form journaling to recap it. And of course, you all know I love using photos in my journaling and can't recommend enough creating a nice photo collage of that experience. I again documented my garden progress with just a few bullet points about what was coming in during this month. Definitely bullet points are my go-to when journaling in my monthly entries. I have this beautiful illustration of poppies, again from that tiny book of Tiny Pleasures. And then down here in this corner, I have my May reads in a really fun format, which was creating these little pockets, separating my physical books and my audiobooks. And for each of them, I printed out a cover for the book that I read. And then I actually created a little mini book, as you can see. I went pretty hard on this one, and I do have the video. Again, all the live streams are available here on my YouTube channel if you want to go back and watch how I created certain parts of the entry. But for this one, I just wrote in the star rating, what type of book it was, a quote from the book. I actually put in a few quotes from the book. And so this was just a really fun way to document the books that I read in May. And then the final thing I'll point out on this page, again, an illustration from the Tiny Book of Tiny Pleasures, and that is the scent of freshly mowed grass. And the reason I put this on the page is because maybe this is embarrassing to share, but it was actually the first time that I ever had to mow the grass. It really needed to get done. Ben was going to be away, and so I rose to the occasion and did it. But the reason I share this is because I think it is fun to also think about your firsts and look back on a month and think about, is there anything that I tried for the first time? Even if it's something as simple as mowing the grass or, I don't know, like changing a tire. Whatever that thing is that you did for the first time, those are fun little wins to put into your journaling. And now we have June, and you can definitely see the summer colors starting to come out. And lots of quotes used on this entry about summer afternoons, rest is not idleness. I wonder what it would be like to live in a world where it was always June, by, of course, Anne from Anne of the Island. And I love having these moments to bring in a new season, in this case, saying hello to summer. And some fun things on this entry are, again, documenting my summer reads, how many print, how many audiobook. It can be fun to think about your reading in terms of genre or the numbers in this respect, but also where you are reading and how that changes throughout the seasons. So I love having this photo here of me reading by the pool and having a nice pool day with good times and tan lines. This was also a time when we had a heat wave and warm weather, so I documented that here. Again, think about what season you're in and what is notable about that season. What do you love about that season? Create a favorite things list about the season. Those are all fun things to add to your monthly entry. I also tried a new recipe, which was a lemon cake. And so I have a photo of it here. And I actually documented the recipe in my common planner, but I do sometimes like to put recipes directly into my monthly entries, so that's something you can think about as well. Again, you can sense a theme with my garden updates. In this case, I built a raised bed, another first that I was excited about having done on my own, and then also listed the things that I am growing. We also hosted friends, we went to a birthday party, and you can see here that a lot of times I'm not even using stickers to bring in creativity, but sometimes I'm just using my hand lettering as a creative element in how I write the title. So working on your hand lettering can really help to elevate your entries. And now we enter the second half of the year with July. And in this case, I used this really big space here to write out a quote capturing the moment. These small slices of life, these small gusts of happiness move me more than all the rest. And this quote was both good for describing why I journal and relating to summer, but also was a quote directly from the book I had read in this month. So that too, as you are reading, as you're watching shows, as you discover a new song, is something you can think about. How can you bring in a quote from that medium and use it in your journal? On this side, you can see I have a big ticket stub. A great idea to think about throughout the month is, what are those little ephemera pieces, those things that others would discard? What can you be saving to use in your journaling at the end of the month? Over here, I have another milestone documented with 40,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. And go ahead and hit subscribe if you are not already, as we work to get that number even higher. I love having you part of this community. So many people who watch my videos are not subscribers, and I would really love for you to join us. It helps my channel so much. And then the last thing I want to highlight on this page is my little in the news section. I think it can be really interesting, especially for you in the future, even future generations, your children and children's children, to see the news items that really stood out to you and that you were compelled to document in your journal. And now we have August, moving into the end of summer, but still holding on to the summer vibes. We had our annual Crab Fest party that we do every year with my family, played some spike ball, and of course didn't have a sticker to represent spike ball, so had to go with a little doodle. So do know that even if you aren't the best artist, I think adding some little moments of your own doodles and art to the page just makes it so personal and beautiful. So I do highly recommend that. Also documented getting to reunite with some old friends, cooking out on the fire, hanging out by the pool. So definitely just soaking in those final moments of summer. And then over here, I did document my August reads, actually using the compilation that the Storygraph app provides. It's a free app. I talk about it quite frequently because I love it so much. And it does provide these really nice monthly recaps that you can then print out and use in your journaling. And we also put in here that we were currently watching Rings of Power. And I think capturing the, again, media that you are watching and listening to is a great addition to your entries. And now we transition to fall with September. Again, these jewel tones just represent the season so well. And so when a transition happens into a new season, I think that's really fun to mark in your journal. So I have this big kind of title that says, Hello Fall, and even talked about the month at a glance in general with a little bit of journaling. But then we also have other moments that represent the season, whether it's my favorite seasonal tea that I really like, the Caramel Apple Dream, highly, highly recommend, or a favorite poem that represents the season, Song for Autumn. This is part of the sticker collection for September. And those little moments, again, those little joys of the season, finding joy in the simple things like hanging out my laundry. I love doing that, especially with a brisk, cool breeze in the transition to fall. For this month, I also documented spending time with friends, going to a football game, and starting to train for our next big trip, as well as feeling a little bit overwhelmed at work, and a quick little description of that. I think talking about how you're feeling in a month, the general vibe of the month, even amidst all of the goodness, is something that is worth detailing in your journal too. And then I do want to highlight this little sticker because I think this is a fun idea of something you can document every once in a while, and that is your search history. So much of our time is spent on our phones and our computers, and we use them as a resource to look up things and figure out different things that we're interested in. And so your search history can be very telling about where you're at in a certain season. And in my case, my search history consisted of looking up the rim to rim hike in the Grand Canyon. I was looking at trail runners, and I was also looking up flights. And so my search history in the month of September really represents the fact that I was planning our trip to the Grand Canyon, which you'll see in a moment. And now we have October, and again, you see the color palette representing the season. We have a great poem called October's Party, lots of leaves to decorate the page. This piece here is one that I held onto from an advertisement for our public library's fall book sale, and so I just cut that out and used it to talk about going to the book sale. Again, talking about the weather and how beautiful it is. I really love capturing the weather and the changing seasons in my journaling. What books I'm reading, of course, spending time with friends, going on different outdoor adventures like rock climbing and multiple hikes, and also getting to spend time with my nieces. So all of that is so beautiful to look back on. However, amidst all of the good, see my continuation of feeling stressed out. And this was actually a therapeutic exercise, I think, as a form of reflective journaling, which was to describe my feeling, in this case, stressed out, and then create a list of just all the reasons I feel that way. And so I have here literally all the things that were stressing me out this month. And I think that's just really interesting and, again, therapeutic to look back on. And also as a sign that you get past it. So even when you're stressed, you get out of that season in time. And I no longer feel this way. And it's a great place to be. But I know now, looking back, that the next time I feel stressed, that there's proof that it happens and that I do see another side to it and get past it. And now we enter November, which was a very special month, as you can see. And again, you may be able to tell that because I had a big experience going to Arizona for our trip to the Grand Canyon, I dedicated basically the entire side of this page to that experience. I wanted to get in a ton of photos from our trip. I wanted to journal the main highlights from the trip, give it a nice big title to make it really stand out, talk about the incredible number of steps that we were able to get in one day and some of the stats related to that experience. So I'm definitely always thinking when I create my list of the things I want to document for a month, what do I want to be most prominent? What is going to be biggest and most highlighted on the page? Because I, of course, want those big things to stand out the most, and then the smaller moments can just fill in the gaps. So we completed our rim to rim hike. We climbed Humphreys Peak. We got to see so many other amazing sights. Highly recommend visiting Arizona if you've never been. And I will definitely be doing some travel journal entries for that trip as well. Some other highlights for this month included getting coffee with friends, going on a hike with friends, spending Black Friday with my best friend, going to see movies, including Gladiator 2 and Wicked. So I was one of the people who participated in Wicked. Again, a fun little kind of pop culture moment to represent on the page. Spending time with my niece, going small business Saturday shopping. And then, of course, here in the US, the presidential election was a big news item, so I just wrote in the election results here in my journal. Here in this little space, I actually did 3 favorite things that I just currently am loving. And so in this case, it was Angel Studios films, my Morel boots that really got me through my hikes, and my FabFitFun subscription. So documenting your favorite things, things you have to be grateful for in a list format can be a nice way to fill up some extra space in your journal. So congratulations if you've made it to this point of the video. We are now at the final month of the year. This is December. And of course, all of the Christmas vibes are coming out on the page. I love this season for so many reasons, so many of which are documented on this page, including, of course, the number one reason, which is Jesus. And in addition to all of those moments of just reflecting on our mighty God and the fact that Emmanuel came to abide with us, I also am documenting time with family and friends that is often filling this season. We went to a wedding and got to celebrate the marriage of some close friends, and so I have that documented. I also got to go to my friend's cookie decorating party, and so I have this cute little cookie decorating sticker here. Lots of fun and games at our families' parties and get-togethers. And this was also our first time hosting Christmas, so another first documented on the page, as well as reactions to gifts. That is a fun thing to document for the holiday season as well. We also made candles with our friends and gave them away as gifts, so I just drew a teeny little candle here. Again, I think bringing in your own illustrations is so fun. And then finally, you can see here this little artistic moment that I have on the page where I used the ornaments. This honestly was a way to fill up space, especially when maybe you don't have as much to say about things. The photos kind of speak for themselves. I just got to a point on the page where I hit the highlights and didn't have much more to say. And so I created this, again, artistic moment of having my ornaments hanging to represent the Christmas season. But then on this one, used it as a moment to describe our favorite movie that we watched, which is the Disney's A Christmas Carol, adaptation. And then behind it, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's actually a quote from the book that I wrote behind it. So if you really wanted to, you could try and read it, but it just provides a pretty background element that also has significance. So there you have it. That is December. That is all 12 of my monthly entries. And then just like I set up a few pages to start the year, I also like to have a few yearly pages to wrap up the year. And in this case, I did a 2024 at a glance page. I put the months down the center and then have these little offshoots where I write a bulleted item essentially describing a main highlight from that month, and they are color coordinated with this key at the bottom that says whether it was a travel experience, a fun experience, an achievement, a notable moment, or a discovery or new favorite. And of course, some of the big highlights I then boxed off in that color. So highly recommend creating a page like this. This is really a great way for you to look back at all of your monthly entries and then pull out the items that most stand out to you from the year. And then finally, I always create a reading wrap up every single year for probably as long as I have been creative journaling. So for 2024, I have my list of all of the books I read using the covers and a little graph from the Storygraph app. And then I did pull out my top 4 for 2024. As you can see here, highly recommend these books. If you would like some more book-related recommendation videos from me, definitely let me know in the comments. So there you have it. That is how I documented an entire year of my life in just 12 pages. And you can do it too. If you are inspired by seeing my journal spreads and are excited about the prospect of making your own, then I have good news for you because we have an entire club called the Monthly Journaling Club that is dedicated to doing this practice in community and inspiring you throughout the year, giving you that accountability, and even giving you some tools like printable stickers to make it happen. So if you want to learn more about that, you can check out this video right here on my screen for more information about what the club is going to look like this year, as well as tips for how to get started. Or you can head right over to my Patreon page to join. Give the video a like before you go, and I'll look forward to seeing you there.